Okay, today I'm going to explain standard multiplication algorithm. The definition for multiplication is combining many groups of the same size and then counting the result. Take this multiplication problem for example, 13 times 8. So we set it up vertically and we want to multiply our 8 times 3 because we want to multiply our singles together first. So here we can see we have 3 rows of 8, which we know is equal to 24. So we drop our singles down and carry our 2 because it's a 20 and we want to count it in the tens place. Next we multiply our 8 by our 1, which is really our 10. So it's really 80, but we're going to just identify it as an 8. But we're going to add 2 together. So we carry down a 10, but it's really 100, and so the final answer is 104. Now let's move on to our longer multiplication problem, which is 2,379 times 1,204. To relate it back to the definition, this is really combining 1,204 groups of 2,379, and then we're going to count the result. So first we're going to start by multiplying with our 4, and we're going to multiply our 2 singles first. So we're going to multiply 4 and 9 together, which is 36. So we drop down our singles and carry our 3 to the tens place because it's also a tens place. Then we're going to move on and multiply our 4 by our 7, which is really 4 times 70, but we're just going to acknowledge it as a 7 because that's easier, but we have to know that it's really a 70, and it's really in the tens place, so we're multiplying it by 70, so our answer is going to drop down into the tens place. So 4 times 7 is 28, plus 3 is 31, so we're going to drop down our 1, but it's really 310, so we're dropping down our tens place here, and we're carrying our 300 to the hundreds place. Then we're going to move on and multiply our 4 by our 3, which is 12, but this is really 1,200 because our 3 is in the 200s place, or is in the hundreds place. So our 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15, which is really 500. And then we're going to carry our 1 to the thousands place because it's really 1,500. And then we're going to multiply our 4 by our 2, which is really our 2,000, which is 8, plus our 1, or our 1,000. So that's going to be 9. And you're going to drop that down into the thousands place. Next, we're going to move on to our tens place, and so we need to have a placeholder here to acknowledge that we're really multiplying everything by our tens place. And so because we're multiplying by 0, we're going to have 0 groups of 9, so 0, 0 groups of 7, or 70, and 0 groups of 3, or 300, and 0 groups of 2, or 2,000. Easy peasy. So now we're going to move on to our 2, or our hundreds place. So we need to have 2 zeros here for placeholders to acknowledge that we're multiplying from our hundreds place. So 2 times 9 is 18, but this is really 200 times 9, so it's 1,800. So we're going to drop our 8 into the hundreds place, and we're going to carry our 1. So now we're going to move on and multiply 2 by our 7, which is really 200 times 70. So it's going to be 14, and our 200 times 70 is really 14,000. So we're going to drop our 4 into the hundreds place, but we have to remember to add the 1, so it's really 15,000. So we drop our 5 and carry our 1 to be counted over here. So next we're going to move on and multiply our 2 times our 3, or 200 times 300, which is going to be 600,000. Oh, remember you have to add the 1, so it's really going to be 700,000. So then we're going to drop our 7, or 70,000. Okay. And then we move on, and we're going to multiply our 2 times our 2, which is really 200 times 2,000, and that's going to be 400,000. So we drop our 4 here, and then now we move on to our thousands place. So we need to have 3 zeros here to acknowledge that we're multiplying from our thousands place. And so we're going to multiply our 1 times our 9, which is really 1,000 times 9. And so our 9 is going to go in the thousands place. Then we're going to multiply our 1 by our 7, or our 1,000 by our 70, which is really going to be 70,000. So we're going to drop our 7 in 10,000s place. Then we're going to have 1 times 3, or 1,000 times 300. So our 1,000 times our 300, which is going to be 300,000. So we're going to drop our 3 in the 100,000s place. And then finally we have our 1 times our 2, which is really 1,000 times 2,000, which is going to be 2 million. And we're going to drop our 2 in the millions place. Just kidding. So now we're done with all of our multiplication. And so we're going to move on to our addition. So we're going to add up all of what we multiplied to get our final answer. So here we're going to add up our ones place, which is going to be 6, then 1, then 5 plus 8, which is 13. Carry the 1. Here we have 10, 5, which is 24. So we're going to drop our 4. Carry the 2. We're going to have 16. Carry the 1. 8, and 2. So our final answer, after we have combined our 1,204 groups of 2,709, and after we've counted the result, is 2,864,316.